I thought I made it clear that we were supposed to do what we did last night every game. Nah, I'm joking. These things happen over 162. The Braves welcomed the Miami Marlins to Truist Park for a clash between the top two teams in the National League East, and the Marlins showed that, at least for tonight, they were the better team. Miami wins by a score of 10-4 over your Atlanta Braves. All of this began with the fourth inning, and really the bottom of the third, but we're talking about Grant Holmes to start, because he did start this game, and I think that's a good place. So, Holmes was perfect through three. Nothing to play about, just absolutely perfect. No base runners allowed for Grant Holmes. Perfect. And especially after how it went last week, you would think, well, yeah, that struggle inning in the second against Anaheim, but was able to get out of it, no problem, and gave you some good length. Not the case tonight. So the second time through the order, he sees Marcy coming up here in the top of the fourth inning. And this was after the Braves had a bit of a rally going at the bottom of the third, and it just was killed because Acuna put a nice charge into a ball. Dominic Smith tries to get to third on a ball hit to center field, is thrown out pretty easily. It was a really nice throw and nice relay, but it wasn't a close play at third. The ball beat him there pretty easily, and that ended an inning. So both the second and third outs made at third in a way with a double play there, and that killed Atlanta's momentum. Top of the fourth, Marcy single just up the middle, and then a walk to both Xavier Edwards and Agustin Ramirez. That loaded the bases up. And a sacrifice fly to right. Acuna, even with his arm, just not a really close play. Probably Marcy probably beat the ball to home by a good second. And then Otto Lopez, a ball that just got by Dubon's glove, was able to score Xavier Edwards. So you have a runner on second, runner on first, 2-0 Miami. It did not end there. You got Cassie to fly out into center, but that moved the runner up 90 feet to third, and the single from Norby was able to score Ramirez. So 3-0. Holmes gets out of it. Just a very long inning and a lot of self-inflicted wounds. 2 walks for Holmes, and it's something we've brought up with him so far this year. His walk rate is up, and it's something that's been done for Braves pitching a lot of times, is they just put themselves in these holes. And sometimes they're able to dig their way out, but not the case for it. Grant Holmes in the fourth inning, that ended up being his last inning. If you look at his line, he leaves with the 4 innings pitched, only 3 hits given up, but 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. So can't walk 2 and only 4. It was a very long inning, so I understand why Grant Holmes did not come back out, especially with the way the offense looked. They came back around and tied the game in the bottom of the fourth inning. So you send out Aaron Bummer, who has been lights out to start the season. He's had a 0 ERA. He did run into some trouble against Cleveland, and Raisel Iglesias had to come out and get a 5-out save. But you send out Aaron Bummer in this situation, and it's 3-3, and just immediately some of the same issues in the top of the fifth, as we can move the topic bar up, all on one screen here for a little bit of inside baseball action. And just another one, Pauly with a single up the middle, and Marcy gets him to fly out. A single for Xavier Edwards, and then Agustin Ramirez puts one into the bleachers right above the Quikrete sign over there in left center. So that made it 6-3. And then they got some more runners on against Aaron Bummer. You had the single from Liam Hicks, and he stole second, so got himself into scoring position. The Marlins just playing very Probably complimentary baseball is the way I want to put it. I really wanted to say annoying baseball, but that's two teams on this or on this homestand that the Braves are seeing that play this kind of same small ball, don't really hit a ton of home runs, but when they do, they tend to come with runners on base. They make it very annoying for your pitchers. They're going to steal a lot of bags. They're going to be very aggressive on the base paths, and they're going to try to string a lot of hits together and have high walk rates, and that is what Miami did tonight. So 6-3, the Braves able to get one back at the bottom of the fifth, but that was the end of their scoring. And in comes Roldy Munoz, who I work for the Columbus Clingstones, and so I get to see a lot of these guys when they're in Double-A for Atlanta. And Roldy Munoz, I get that he's a top prospect for Atlanta. He's got a lot of good stuff. His velocity is cool on the surface, but not really ever been super impressed with him, just my naked eye. Obviously, I don't know as much as the Brave scouts and their talent development and all that, but he's had a really good start to his season in AAA with Gwinnett. Dylan Dodd was sent down after 3 innings of work yesterday, so he would have been unable to pitch for a few days. The Braves said we need an arm in the bullpen now. They call up Roldy Munoz, had a really good start to the season, mostly with his fastball and his changeup. And if you look at it, the first pitch he threw in his major league debut this season was a sinker right over the middle of the plate, 93 miles an hour, and it was absolutely crushed by Connor Norby, and that made it 7-4. And by that time, I think everyone knew that the Braves were probably cooked. They had come back, they had made this interesting in the last 2 innings, but the pitching staff tonight was not allowing their hitters to keep up with Miami or to have any chance of coming back. Munoz gives up 2 more in the third, or in his first inning of work. So, yeah, Agustin Ramirez, a ground ball that was able to score. Hernandez and Marcy scored on another single up the middle. So Roldy Munoz actually deflected that one, just got it away from Ozzie enough for Marcy to score. So nothing the Braves offense could do. They managed to put up a little bit of a fight, got some walks, but nothing really substantial. And then more runs scored against the fourth Braves pitcher today to come into the game, and that was Jose Suarez. Gives up only 1 earned run. So of the 4 Braves starters, he was the only one to give up less than 3. Still 2 innings of work, 1 earned run. And with everything considered, considering Grant Holmes only gave you 4 innings of work tonight, and then you had to use Bummer when it was still a close game, the bullpen was able to save some length for the series ahead. And this is a streak for Atlanta where they do have off days at strategic spots where they will not need to necessarily use a 5th starter for a while. So that's kind of why a lot of these roster moves have been made. But they absolutely have to keep the integrity of the bullpen together in this crucial stretch against division opponents. I mean, over the next, I think it's 13 of the next 13 games are against division opponents. So starting with Miami, you go to Philadelphia and Washington next week. And then welcome Philly back in. So absolutely critical for Atlanta to keep the bullpen going, keep the bullpen fresh, because they will need them down this stretch. You cannot win the division in this 13 games, but you can sure put yourself in a hole. Or you could, take the time and possibly bury Philadelphia, which is something that Atlanta would really like to do. So definitely an important stretch coming up for Atlanta. Going to need the bullpen to do it. Let's talk about some of the roster moves before we get to the offense tonight. Like I mentioned before, Dylan Dodd was called up for Martin Perez, who was DFA'd yesterday morning after his quality start against Cleveland on Saturday night. So I didn't think that he should have been cut I actually have to see if he's going to clear waivers, because I have to imagine that there's a team out there somewhere who's going to want Martin Perez's services after he looked really good for Atlanta. So I would be shocked if he clears waivers. I'll put it that way. If he does end up back in Gwinnett, that's really good for Atlanta. You get to keep a very valuable depth piece in your starting pitching. But that's it for Martin Perez in an Atlanta uniform for now. Brought up Dylan Dodd, and last night in the blowout, he gave you 3 innings of just excellent baseball. No earned runs, and saved your bullpen in a game where you did not need to use them because the game was not close. Came in for Chris Sale, gave you 3. And this morning, thank you for your time, Dylan. Go back to Gwinnett. And they brought up Rody Munoz in his place, and it's just not really worked out, I have to say. Munoz, he did make an appearance last year for Atlanta. I know like I said, I knew him from Columbus, but in his very, very short major league career, last year he got 3 and 2/3 innings pitched. He gave up a home run and 5 earned in that stretch. In 2026, tonight is that only sample size: 2 innings pitched, 3 earned runs, one of them being a homer. So, just not quite ready for the big leagues. I think he'll be sent down tomorrow. I don't know. I think it's a good look. Let's look at the Stripers roster and see if anyone is pitching well enough to justify a call-up besides the big 2 prospects in Gwinnett right now, which are, of course, Richie and Fuentes. But without the need for a 5th starter, you don't really want to waste an option on one of those guys while they're getting stretched out. So, something you would want to do, if we're just looking at 40-man roster guys, that eliminates a lot of different players. Obviously, you can't bring Dodd back up. Daysbull Hernandez, if you look at his roster, let's see if he's actually pitching, because I know he was injured earlier this year. And the minor league baseball app is being done. Let's look at how Hayden Harris has done to start the year in AAA. I mean, 5 games so far for Hayden Harris, 4.76 ERA and 5.2 innings pitched, 7 strikeouts. So not the best. And if we're going to just look at straight game logs, I don't think he can give you much long form relief in those 5 starts so far. I mean, the longest he went was 2 innings, and that was on April 5th. So he did get blown up on his April 1st start, where he gave up 3 earned runs in only 2/3 of an inning. None by the home run. 4 walks in that time as well. So that seems to be what's plaguing Hayden Harris so far. 6 walks in only 4 2/3 innings pitched. So he's not getting hit hard, but he is not making it easy on himself. Only the 2 hits. So 2 hits to 6 walks. So if he can control it, he can maybe be an asset going forward for Atlanta. But that would be maybe the guy you could call up. Like I said, Hayden Harris is interesting because if he threw 3 or 4 mile per hour faster, he would probably be a big league staple because his performance has been there the last 2 years in the minor leagues for Atlanta. And just the Braves don't value him all that much because he's a reliever who doesn't throw hard. So just not really much else to say there. Victor Medeiros is also on the 40-man, as well as Hunter Stratton. Just going to take a look at what they're doing this year, because those are the only 2 other guys besides, like I said, Daysbull Hernandez is on the 40-man. You could very well see him. And then Dylan Dodd, Didier Fuentes. So I don't think you're going to see Didier coming up and making bullpen starts. Whenever you see him again, he will be in the starting rotation, is how I understand it. So looking at Hunter Stratton's, 6.75 ERA so far this season and 5 1/3 inning pitch. So not any really good options. we'll look at Victor Maduros, who has a 12 ERA. So nothing good coming out of Gwinnett anytime soon to help your bullpen. You've got to figure it out as is. I would say the Braves should possibly think about, and I think they're going to have to think about this anyways if they want to accommodate both Spencer Strider and Didier Fuentes, moving Grant Holmes to the bullpen, because the quality is there. I mean, especially one time through the order, he has been really good this year. It's that second and then third trip through the order for Grant Holmes that he's just not been all that effective for Atlanta. The 3.32 ERA is pretty good, especially for a third or fourth starter kind of guy. But you really worry about that stat of just first time through, second time through. And we trying to pull up the first time through, second time through, and of course it's not on that website because why would it be convenient? The offense tonight, just moving along because we can talk about roster moves when we're not reviewing a game. The offense tonight had a little bit of fight in them. Like I said, they got down 3-0 after killing a rally in the bottom of the third. They come out with a vengeance. They send 8 to the plate against the hard-throwing Yuri Perez, and they were able to get to him in the bottom of the fourth. And it all starts, of course, with Drake Baldwin. Who else? He went hitless last night, refused to do it 2 nights in a row. He hit a ball hard into right field. Olsen joins him with a line drive. Riley, a third single, and that was able to score Drake Baldwin. Olsen goes to third, and then Mike Yastrzemski, who I kind of trashed on a little bit last night. He went 1 for 2 tonight. This was his one. A nice hard hit ground ball into right field. Scored Matt Olson. And then Ozzie Albies pops out. But Dominic Smith with a deep, deep sacrifice fly. And that tied the game. Atlanta just strung several hits together. No home run needed. So that's kind of the offense that we've seen so far for Atlanta, where they just refuse to get out. They are contagious with their hitting, and they were able to quickly erase a 3-run deficit the first time around. Did not have it in them to completely erase another 3-run deficit. In the bottom of the fifth, though, Acuna hits a single. Baldwin walks. Acuna's on second and into the bullpen. A pass ball gets Acuna to third, and Riley hits a ball really, really hard to the second baseman. But he is not able to, Baldwin had moved up to second at that point, so no double play needed. But that is able to score Acuna. So that was the Braves' offense tonight. Just not a ton going. The momentum was killed after that second, third-run inning. And if anything was left, was killed by Roldy Muñoz's performance tonight, coming out of the pen in relief of Aaron Bummer. So, looking at tomorrow's game, Game 2, Atlanta needs to win the next 2 if they want to keep up their streak of being the only team in Major League Baseball yet to lose a series this year. So, they definitely don't want to lose that streak to the Fish of all teams. Tomorrow will be Max Meyer going for Miami. This season, 1-0 with a 3.68 ERA, 15 strikeouts, and returning from the suspension, Reynaldo Lopez. He is 1-0 with a 1.15 ERA, 13 strikeouts on the season. So, we'll see how the teams fare. I think Atlanta is going to come out with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. It's something they've been able to do a lot this season. So I expect them to be able to rebound, especially against a team like Miami. But can't underestimate Miami. Miami's now only a game back in the National League East. So that'll get us done for today. If you enjoyed what you watched, if you stuck around all the way to the end, thank you very, very much for that. And please consider liking and subscribing. It really does help my channel out. Very small channel. just trying to do my best to make content that people enjoy. Trying to fill a little bit of a niche here for the Braves. So, but until tomorrow, I'm Caden Sturgis. Peace out and chop on.